तो थोड़ा बताओगे कि आपने ये ट्रेनिंग की जर्नी कैसे शुरू की एंड आपने टोटल कितने स्टूडेंट्स को पढ़ाया अभी तक?
Yeah, sure. So my journey started in 2017. कॉलेज में तो हमें एक्सेल पढ़ाया नहीं जाता, तो वॉट एवर आई लर्न दैट वॉज ऑन द जॉब. And during COVID phase, I started created content on LinkedIn. I used to share tips with my friends. Then I started taking sessions internally within my firm at EY. And slowly I grew over LinkedIn. I connected with you. Until date, I have taught more than 10,000 participants.
Wow.
And I have been invited at various B schools, including 7 IIMs, some IITs, Masters Union, ICAI, Mumbai University, etc.
So चलो let's begin the Excel master class. तो सबसे पहला एकदम सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है कि जो वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स है, जूनियर वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स जो अभी जस्ट जॉब ज्वाइन किए हैं इन लाइक लेट्स से फाइनेंस और अकाउंटिंग और एचआर, उनके लाइफ में आपके हिसाब से कौन से ऐसे फंक्शंस है जो उनको तो मिनिमम पता होने ही चाहिए एंड यू थिंक कि ये फंक्शंस के थ्रू उनकी एफिशिएंसी या प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ जाएगी एट वर्क?
So instead of me giving any theoretical answer, I would like to present a small case study where we have to do a simple tax computation, and then we can see like where what common people might do may not be the best way to do and how we can do it in a better way. So we can start with that.
Sure, perfect.
So as you can see on my screen, so this is just a simple financial statements which commerce students have seen since like their childhood. So this is a simple sales, COGS, we have gross income, EBIT, pre-tax income and net profit. Now it's a very simple case study where we have to compute the tax, like how much the income tax company has to pay. Now usually the income tax computation is quite complex for like salaried individuals or like because it has a lot of slabs. But in businesses, usually it's simple, right? We just have to take a flat tax rate and multiply. Of course, there are some other complexities as well, but we will not touch into those income tax aspects at the moment. So if you see this particular case study, now I'll write one formula, which is pre-tax income into the tax rate, right? So this is my 30% as the tax rate. And I'll compute my income tax. And as you can see, my pre-tax income was 21,000. My income tax is 6,300 and my net profit is 14,700. But if I show you this formula, now there are one mistake in this formula. Like I have multiplied my pre-tax income into the tax rate, but there is still one mistake in this formula. Now, as a business like a normal person, we may not feel that this formula has any mistake. A good analyst will write this formula and he thinks that, I write the formula correctly. I send the model to the client. He must be happy. The numbers were tallying. But there is one very fundamental flaw. So if we analyze, income tax law is like that if you make any losses, then you don't have to pay any income tax. Right? So now let's do one thing. Let's put this company into losses. So I'm increasing cost of goods sold from 50,000 to 5 lakhs. Now this company is into loss. And if we read this particular formula, which felt right a moments ago, this formula is wrong because it shows that I'm getting an income tax refund. Right? So now this formula, which was appearing right, seems to be wrong. So how do we write a correct formula in the first place itself, which works in all possible scenarios, right? So that is the job of basically working on Excel models or financial analysis, that you write formulas in such a way, your sub situations may the formulas tend to work well. So now in this particular case study, how would I write the formula? Instead of just simply multiplying the tax rate, I can use a simple if function. And then I will also show you one more function where we can solve the same case study using that function. So let me start with if. So my logic is, again, before getting into Excel, our logic should be clear because Excel is a secondary toolkit. So my first thing is that my logic is that whenever I'm in losses, I should not be paying tax. So how do I define loss? I define loss that my pre-tax income is less than 0, right? So if my pre-tax income is less than 0, then I don't pay any tax. So I get answer as 0. And what if the value is false? Then I can simply do pre-tax income into the tax rate. So now this is a correct formula which will give us answer in all possible scenarios. So now if you see, if I increase my cost of goods sold from 50,000 to 5 lakhs, I get 0 as my tax. So whatever is my pre-tax income, that becomes my net profit because I don't have to pay any taxes. So this is a simple use case of if function, like how we can use a simple logical if function to help us do an income tax computation. So now this particular example हम लोग ने if function से solve किया. But what my advice or recommendation to all students would be कि like let's take a cricketing example. Like let's say a batsman wants to score a century. Now it's not that he is going to hit one type of shot, like to get that 100 runs. He will like score singles, doubles, sixes, fours, left cover drive, on drive, different types of shots. So similarly, like while we are working on Excel, we should not restrict ourselves कि यार मुझे if function आता है तो I'll solve this case study with the help of if function. We should always try to think कि और कौन से function से ये मैं case study solve कर सकता हूँ. So in that context, this same case study can be solved by another function in Excel which is called as a max function. Now max function seems very unintuitive because it's simple, like it gives us the maximum number. So if I just choose a max for this array, it will give me answer as 3 because 3 is the maximum value here. So how can I use max function in this particular case study to do a income tax computation? So it's so I'll write the formula in this particular way. So max, so I'll write 0 comma pre-tax income into the tax rate. Now even this particular function will give us the correct answer. So let me come back. I'm making the cost of goods sold as 50,000. So now you can see it is giving me the correct answer, which is B13 into B19, 30%. It's giving me the answer. And if my cost of goods sold increases and the numbers become negative, then you can see here I'm still getting the correct answer. Why? Because this number now becomes a negative number. So it is doing max of 0 and negative 1,28,700. So 0 is a bigger number and therefore this function throws a 0 as the correct answer. So we saw a very simple case study जहाँ पे tax compute करना था. We could do it with the help of if function and we could do it with the help of max function as well. So always remember this important skill or tip in Excel, that whenever you solve a case study, always try to solve it with 2 or 3 examples. Because जब हम लोग downtime होते हैं, we are practicing. We should try to hone our skills in all directions because we never know, like in real life situation, what type of function combination will help us solve the business problem.
Got it. Very, very helpful. And can you tell us some advanced Excel features which have been launched in the last 5 years by Microsoft Excel, and इसका कैसे एक daily working professional use कर सकता है in their life?
So in the last 3-4 years, like few important features which have come up in Excel. One is the concept of dynamic arrays. So dynamic arrays has been launched in Excel. Second, since 2016 and on, we have something called as Power Query in Excel. So Power Query is kind of an ETL tool which is called as extract, transform and load. So it helps us get data from various sources consolidated, and it also helps us in data cleaning. So Power Query is a new feature in Excel. Of late, just few months back, Microsoft has integrated Python into Excel. So now we can use the Python within our Excel environment. So that is also another new feature which has been launched. And in Excel, there have been a lot of functions which have been released in the last 3-4 years. So VLOOKUP is released in 1985, but uska alternative is XLOOKUP, which has been released in 2019. We have let functions, LAMBDA functions, map functions, translate functions. We earlier used to use pivot tables, right? आप भी जब आपके आर्टिकलशिप डेज में हो गए आपने पिवट टेबल्स यूज किया होगा, बट नाउ एक्सेल हैज लॉन्च्ड अ पिवट बाय फंक्शन व्हिच इज अ function as a pivot table. So these are the new features which have been launched in Excel. One more thing which was always there in Excel was VBA macros, but VBA macros bhi abhi outdated ho raha hai. Excel has launched something called as Automate, which is Office scripts. So Office scripts is now the new programming language which can be used in Excel. So these are the few new features which have been launched in Excel in the last few years.
Got it. Perfect. So now you have made my job quite easier because all the questions are going to be on these features itself. If you learned something new from this video, do share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel so that we can bring you the best content possible. Also, if you want to watch this entire episode, click on the link in the description box and you can go to Kushal Lodha YouTube channel and watch the entire podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching this and have an amazing day.